The late afternoon sun painted Jetavana forest with burnished gold and soft amber hues. Its warmth mellowed, dappling the earth with shifting light and shadow. An almost imperceptible breeze stirred the leaves, carrying the subtle aroma of damper, blooming jasmine, and sandalwood, promising a tranquil evening. Within this verdant sanctuary, monks moved with unhurried grace, their saffron robes contrasting deeply with the bamboo grove's rich green. Each step showcased mindful presence, a silent preparation for evening meditation. Unseen birds offered melodious twilight songs, deepening the pervasive peace. At the heart of this tranquil gathering, beneath a magnificent sala tree, sat the Buddha, embodying profound stillness and perfect equilibrium. Serenity emanated from him, a quiet brilliance illuminating the air. His calm eyes held a depth of wisdom, transcending all understanding. Around the Buddha, a diverse assembly converged: monks, nuns, humble villagers, shrewd merchants, and earnest seekers, all yearning for truth. Each carried unique experiences, gnawing questions, clouded doubts, flickering hopes, and heavy sorrows, all seeking solace and clarity from the enlightened one. Amidst the quiet reverence, a simple farmer, hands calloused and attire humble, hesitantly approached the Buddha. His unassuming heart brimmed with profound curiosity, a deep longing for understanding drawing him to the awakened one's presence. The farmer paused respectfully, eyes fixed on the Buddha's serene countenance, feeling awe and hopeful anticipation. He gathered courage to articulate personal musings stirring for days, recognizing the moment's profound significance and potential wisdom. With deep respect and humility, the farmer bowed low, his forehead touching the earth, acknowledging immense spiritual wisdom. He straightened slowly, gazed earnest and unwavering, finally articulating his deeply stirring question, seeking a deeper truth. Lord, he began, his voice a soft murmur, tinged with reverence and perplexity, asking about the Dharma's unique taste.
True
How
wealth
can an abstract
is not
teaching,
measured in
a philosophical
coin,
truth, possess
but
a
in the
taste?
stillness
What is the
of the
true flavor
mind.
of your Dharma? He
To be
inquired.
attentive is the
The
first
Buddha,
step.
hearing the
For the
farmer's
path
words,
to liberation
responded with a
requires
gentle
complete
smile,
awareness
a profound
of the present
expression of
moment.
universal compassion and wisdom. His smile dissolved doubt, assuaged fears, and held understanding of human suffering, offering comfort and insight to all. The Buddha's
This bowl
infinitely kind eyes,
represents our
filled with
detachment.
ancient knowing, met the
We fill
farmers,
it not
conveying
for
silent
ourselves,
reassurance and
but
appreciation.
for the journey.
An unspoken invitation in his gaze encouraged openness and trust, making the farmer feel at ease, sensing a transcendent connection. Come closer, the Buddha invited,
Do you believe
his
that
calm,
clinging to this
resonant voice
moment
abound,
will
effortlessly
bring
carrying
you the
through the
peace
quiet
you
assembly.
seek?
All present leaned forward, eager for wisdom,
What is
feeling
the
a collective
source of your
anticipation and a
suffering?
sense of spiritual awakening.
Is it the world?
Let me tell you a story.
is it
the
within
Buddha
you?
announced, his gaze sweeping
The
across
consequence is
attentive
clear,
disciples
Lord.
and curious seekers.
Suffering is
He reached
indeed
for a
born
small,
of attachment.
unglazed clay bowl
And I
filled with
accept this
pristine
truth.
water, lifting it gently for
The
all to
water
observe.
looks pure in the bowl,
Addressing the
yet
farmer,
I tell you,
the Buddha
it
calmly
is
asked him to
undrinkable
imagine
now.
placing a single handful
Something
of
has
salt into the
corrupted
small
it.
bowl of water. Envision the immediate consequences of such an action, he instructed, inviting careful consideration of the simple act. Now tell me, the Buddha continued, unwavering, what would happen to the water if salt were added? He waited patiently, allowing the farmer to consider the scenario, prompting
the
thoughtful
river,
reflection among all
wide
attentive
and
listeners.
ever-flowing.
The
It is
farmer,
like the path
without
of life,
hesitation,
serene
grasped the
when
consequence. Lord, he replied firmly, the water would be exceedingly salty. Its purity corrupted. No living being would consume such brine. It would serve no
Do you
good
see the
purpose.
contrast between what
The
is
Buddha
real
nodded slowly,
what
confirming
you
the
merely
farmer's
believe
understanding,
to be true?
allowing the simple truth to resonate quietly. The
I see it
implications
now.
were clear.
The
a
seeds
small
we
container,
plant in the earth are
easily
no different
overwhelmed,
than the thoughts we
perhaps
plant in
mirroring
our
a mind
minds.
not yet expansive
Both
enough.
must be nurtured.
Now, the Buddha calmly proposed. Imagine taking that same handful of salt and throwing it into a vast, flowing river. He gestured expansively, inviting a new mental image of a grand body of water for the assembled listeners. He posed the crucial question, if that salt were dispersed into a powerful river, would its vast waters taste salty? He looked at the farmer, inviting contemplation of the immense difference,
The Dharma
setting the stage for
expands the
profound
mind,
insight and perspective.
like
the farmer
that
shook his head
boundless
slowly,
river.
comprehension dawning. No, Lord, he responded, understanding proportionality. The river is too vast, he explained. That single handful of salt would be diluted, its effect negligible, untasted. The Buddha's gaze swept across the multitude, monks, villagers, seekers, inviting them to grasp his profound metaphor. A deep silence settled, punctuated by rustling leaves, as everyone awaited the illuminating culmination of his teaching.
The
The Dharma,
profound
the
and
Buddha
liberating
declared,
flavor
expands the mind
of
like a
inner
boundless river.
vastness.
Adversities cannot overwhelm a wise heart. A mind cultivated by Dharma becomes vast enough to encompass all suffering, remaining untainted and unovercome. The monks bowed,
O revered
acknowledging
one,
the parable's
I
profound
seek
truth. A
understanding of the
ripple of
Dharma.
comprehension passed
Is
through
there
the
a way
assembly.
to find true
They
happiness and
recognized how
lightness of
broadened
heart in this
perspective,
life?
cultivated through Dharma, transformed adversity into growth, leading to inner liberation. That, the Buddha explained, with a serene smile, is one distinct flavor of Dharma, inner vastness. This resonated, promising a boundless inner landscape where worries dissolve. Peace flourishes,
Do not dwell in the
cultivating an
past.
expanse of
Do not
consciousness for
dream of
freedom.
the future.
A young
Concentrate the
merchant,
mind
elegantly
on the
dressed,
present
stepped
moment.
forward, his eyes alight with new curiosity, and asked a question. Lord, he inquired, is there also a sweetness in Dharma? Does it offer a joyful taste, a gentle solace? The Buddha, with soft, compassionate eyes, turned to the merchant, then bent to pick up a fallen leaf.
Just as you
He held
release
the
this
vibrant
leaf,
green leaf,
you must
touched
learn
with
to
gold,
release your clinging.
delicately, allowing its
Let go of
fragility and beauty
attachment
to captivate
and find
attention.
true freedom.
When a tree lets go of its leaf, the Buddha instructed, it does so without struggle or resistance. It simply releases its hold, allowing the leaf to
Release
drift,
yourself from the
accepting
chains
change
of
with
desire,
equanimity and grace,
and you will find
understanding
the profound
impermanence.
peace that lies
With gentle
beyond
motion,
all
the Buddha
grasping.
released the leaf, allowing it to flutter silently to the earth, a metaphor for non-attachment. The whisper of its descent echoed surrender, captivating observers who grasped the subtle
sweetness
power and profound resonance.
of letting go.
When the heart releases clinging to desires, expectations, past hurts, or anxieties, the Buddha explained, a deep sweetness arises. This sweetness is an abiding joy, pure and unblemished, the incomparable
The path
sweetness of freedom
requires
from burdens
detachment,
of wanting,
yet we are bound
loss,
by compassion.
and craving.
How do
The
we
merchant,
reconcile
listening
these truths
intently,
in our daily
felt a
lives?
palpable shift within.
Dharma is
A
sharp.
genuine, unburdened smile spread across his face.
These words feel
He
like a
experienced
keen
inexplicable
blade.
lightness, as unseen burdens lifted,
I ask
leaving him
about the
refreshed,
uncomfortable,
profoundly liberated,
piercing
tasting inner
quality
peace.
of the Dharma.
That, the Buddha declared, is another flavor of Dharma, the
Master,
sweetness of letting
The
go.
path you describe
This
is
flavor,
arduous.
a balm to the mind,
I fear I am
invited
not strong
releasing
enough to
attachment's
face
weight,
the challenging
embracing
truths
lightness
of
for tranquil
existence.
liberation. Another seeker, brow furrowed with complexities, voiced his honest observation from the back of the assembly. Lord, he began, your words feel surprisingly sharp to my ego, like a keen blade cutting through my pride. He continued, is this uncomfortable?
Just
Piercing
as this
sharpness
blade
also
of
an
grass is
intentional part of the
impermanent,
Dharma's
so
complex
too are
flavor.
all conditioned things.
The seeker awaited an
To
explanation,
grasp this is the
acknowledging
beginning
truth's
of wisdom.
challenging, yet ultimately purifying, nature and wisdom's transformative characteristics. The Buddha nodded sagely, acknowledging the seeker's honest
The
perception,
Dharma is indeed
demonstrating
sharp,
deep
like a
understanding.
finely honed
He
blade.
leaned down,
It is meant
plucking
to
a single
cut,
blade of
not to
vibrant
wound,
green grass
but
from
to
the
sever
earth,
the ties
holding
of
it up
illusion.
for all to observe. When a vine grows tangled, the Buddha instructed, holding the grass, a farmer cuts it with clear purpose. The
The
farmer
Dharma's
prunes overgrowth
sharpness
so the
is
vine
meant to
grows
cut
straight,
through
strong,
ignorance,
healthy,
allowing
fulfilling
wisdom to
potential,
flourish
an act
in
of
the calm
discerning care.
mind.
He looked at the seeker, the Dharma cuts
The
through delusion.
sharpness that
Its sharpness
frees.
severs ego's deceptions and limitations. It is a precise cut, performed with wisdom's clarity, not anger or judgment, but with profound love. It cuts so genuine wisdom, like a healthy vine, may grow unhindered and flourish within the heart. The seeker bowed deeply, understanding compassion manifests as a firm, discerning hand and a gentle touch, both liberating. This too, the Buddha affirmed, is a flavor of the Dharma, the sharpness that frees. This taste was meant to excise suffering's
Your
roots,
wisdom
like a
illuminates
surgeon
the
removing
darkness.
disease, allowing
I am
healing and
grateful
thriving.
for the
A
profound
refreshing
peace your
forest breeze
teachings
swept
bring
gently
to
through the grove,
world.
rustling
Is
leaves,
this the
carrying
path
soothing
that leads
coolness,
to the
a
cessation
natural
of all
benediction.
suffering?
It embraced everyone, a reprieve from day's heat, preparing senses for another profound teaching.
Do you
Deepening the
experience
peace.
this
A serene
tangible
monk,
sense
palms
of
together,
coolness?
humbly asked, Lord, in deep meditation, I experience profound coolness within my heart. Is this tranquil calm, this quiet respite from worldly heat, a taste of the Dharma? He inquired. Is this tangible coolness, this internal abatement of agitation, also a taste of the Dharma? He asked.
The
He
Dharma
looked at the
offers
Buddha,
a precious
hoping to
flavor,
understand this inner
one that
experience,
brings a
seeking
profound
validation
relief
for his
and
profound
stillness
peace.
to the mind.
The Buddha closed his eyes briefly,
Just
a
as the
serene
moon
smile gracing
rises
his
in the
lips,
darkness,
savoring the monk's
so too
described
does
sensation.
enlightenment dawn
Yes,
upon the
monk,
sincere
he
heart.
affirmed, you've touched another precious Dharma flavor, bringing relief and stillness to the weary soul. Just as moonlight cools the night, the Buddha elucidated, pointing to the rising full moon. The Dharma
The
cools
cool
heart flames,
freshness of
It
inner
quenches
peace.
destructive passions, anger, greed, fear, leaving behind tranquil calm, a sanctuary from inner turmoil. When the fires within are quenched, he continued, the heart rests in profound peace, cool freshness of inner peace. This sanctuary, untouched by storms, brings enduring calm, equanimity, a refuge from all suffering and agitation.
The cool
The monks,
freshness
feeling
of
coolness
inner
as the moon
peace.
ascended, bowed in grateful recognition of deep tranquility.
What will become of us?
This, the Buddha
I try to be
confirmed,
strong,
is another
but
vital flavor
sometimes
of
the
dharma,
hunger is too
the
much
cool
to bear.
freshness of inner peace.
Will it ever get easier?
A mother,
Your
holding
child
her
is a
child,
manifestation
face
of the
etched with
purest
concern,
love.
hesitantly approached
Teach
the
them
Buddha,
kindness,
her gaze filled
and they
with
will
quiet
know
hope.
the path to
Lord,
peace.
she asked softly,
Just as
how does
food
dharma
nourishes
nourish
the
us,
body,
sustaining our
the
spirits
Dharma
amidst life's
provides
constant
spiritual
demands and
sustenance,
challenges?
calming
The Buddha
mind.
smiled warmly at the mother and child. Just as wholesome food
The
nourishes the
path
body,
to
he
awakening
explained,
is found here.
wise understanding,
within your
dharma's
own
profound
heart.
truths, nourishes the mind and spirit, sustenance essential for well-being and growth. He tapped his chest gently, emphasizing the inner realm. When the mind is fed with truth, it grows strong. Without wisdom's nourishment, the mind weakens, prone to anxiety. This nourishment builds lasting inner fortitude.
Nourishing
The mother bowed with
sustenance
deep
of
gratitude.
wisdom.
Her worries eased, understanding the profound truth of his words. This, the Buddha declared, is the nourishing sustenance of wisdom, a promise of inner strength for a purposeful life. The assembly fell silent, hushed anticipation settling as evening deepened. The farmer spoke again, with newfound clarity. Lord, he asked, his gaze earnest, does dharma truly
The
have many
flavor
distinct
of
flavors for
liberation
liberation? The Buddha looked
is
at the tranquil
peace.
forest, flowering trees, winding rivers, silent
What is
mountains,
that light?
a vast
It's a
tapestry of existence. There is only one flavor. Farmer,
I
he
have
said,
never seen
one
anything
ultimate,
like it.
unifying taste, the flavor
Freedom
of
from
liberation.
suffering.
A collective gasp
The
spread through the
cessation
crowd.
of all
The Buddha
sorrow.
continued, just as the ocean tastes of salt. Its essence. The Dharma has one unifying flavor, the incomparable taste of freedom from suffering. The cessation of sorrow. He closed his eyes, breathed softly, savoring truth, whether you feel its sweetness, sharpness, coolness, nourishment. Each experience leads to one singular destination, awakening, the complete realization of one's true nature. The people bowed deeply, many overcome with emotion, some wept quietly, tears of profound understanding and relief. Some felt hearts open, light, touched by grace.
Come,
They understood
sit with
Dharma's
me.
timeless, eternally relevant,
Let the moonlight
universally
soothe your
accessible
worries.
truths. The Buddha turned to the farmer, eyes full of encouragement. Now, good man, he said, what is Dharma's flavor for you? The moment hung, ripe with personal revelation and profound understanding. As the farmer pondered his answer, the farmer placed palms together, his face radiating inner peace, tears of
see it
pure
now.
joy shining in his eyes.
Everything we
Lord,
believed was a
he
shadow.
responded, voice choked yet firm.
truth
It
is
tastes like
finally
freedom.
clear.
It tastes like peace. It tastes like
Yes,
waking.
the peace you have
The Buddha
cultivated
smiled softly, radiant with
is the
boundless
truest
compassion.
harvest of the
Then,
self.
he affirmed, you have truly tasted it. In that sacred moment, everyone felt a subtle, profound shift, a precious liberation blooming, promising enduring peace.